All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Tuesday 10X interview that has become more of a mastermind. I started this with interviewing Brian View, the president and COO of FinLocker. What's up, Brian?
Dave, great to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great to have you. And then him and I were both going back and forth on text this morning, and we're like, hey, let's try to get some mortgage professionals, some modern mortgage advisors that are actually doing some of the things that we're going to talk about today, so that we've got, high level ideas from a couple technology innovators, the two of us, and then we've got real world mortgage professionals that are out there executing on this stuff. So welcome, Alice and Laura. Hey, Alice, what market are you in? And do you mind just tell a little bit about yourself so people know?
In Kansas City. So I started my mortgage career back in like 2003. Was a referral-based loan officer. I took a 10-year, a decade break and ran a home improvement company. So I got, really deep in my passion for customer service and real estate. That was a crazy business, but got back into mortgage, which is my real passion, in 2019, and run a top producing mortgage team, and just happy to be here.
Cool, cool. What kind of volume do you guys do? How'd you do last year?
About
What do you do this year?
Yeah, so we've done, I think since 2020, every year we've eclipsed 100 million. So
Wow, wow. So
yeah.
killing it. What's the goal for 2025?
Well, I don't know the volume goal, but we're aiming for 600 loans. 600 is the
Wow.
number. Yeah.
Okay, so you're doing big numbers. And then Laura, a little bit about you.
Hi, I've been in the business since '98, and originally got in the business because was trying to get a mortgage and had a horrible experience at a bank, and was like in between. I was young, in between like careers, and I thought, I could do this, and just fell in love with the business and helping people. I'm in the field, in the trenches, so to speak. I originate still, and I have two loan partners, loan coordinators who help pre-process the file, and an assistant. And this past year, we closed about 103 million.
Amazing.
Wow. Congratulations. Well, doing
Thank
a
you.
lot of volume. So, the theme of today's session is education and engagement at the top of the funnel. So for any loan officers listening in, this has to do with lead gen. How do we get people into strategic conversations, and how do we create the most value in a modern way? So Brian, I've interviewed you before. For anyone that doesn't know who Brian is, he's been an executive at large mortgage organizations, and he's a technology innovator today. But he's also someone that's very active at studying the industry. He's one of the top LinkedIn influencers among mortgage executives and technology leaders. So if you're not following this guy on LinkedIn, make sure that you do. Brian, when I reached out to you, because I wanted to kick off the year, you and I talking, you picked the headline. Why did you pick this headline, and how would you describe it to everybody?
Well, I selfishly, I probably picked it in a very selfish manner because the product that we've developed at FinLocker is highly focused on educating and engaging early journey home buyers. And if you want to get like really granular, early journey first-time home buyers. And so I spent a lot of time in that space just because of our product, but also just it's a fascinating place to be. And Dave, after we scheduled this, I saw an article in like, I don't know, mid-December, and it was talking about the upcoming Super Bowl. And I think the article was by AdWorks or Adweek or somebody like that. But there's only two financial services companies that have purchased, 30-second blocks in the Super Bowl: Rocket Mortgage and NerdWallet. And if you think about both of those companies and the audience that they're really trying to get in front of, it's a younger person in their financial life. And then if you want to kind of try to connect the dots, a big segment of that cohort of audience that both of these companies are trying to reach either are or will be considering buying their first home in the next 2 to 5 years. And so as I think about the playbook for, the modern mortgage originator, all you have to do is pay attention to what Rocket and NerdWallet are doing at Super Bowl. And it's all about early up funnel engagement, bringing people into the funnel, starting to build a relationship with those people so that when it does come time for them to transact, those companies, but each of you on this call can be in a position to earn the business. So it's something I've grown very passionate about. And I think the way the market's been for the last few years, we've got this growing bubble of otherwise people that would have bought their first home that just haven't been able to do it for various reasons. And it's just never been a better time and a more important time to educate and stay meaningfully engaged with consumers through this long long readiness process.
Yeah, no doubt. So I'm going to push a quick poll, guys, and please answer this rapidly. But how many leads do you generate consistently per month? You know, is it 20 or less? Is it 30 to 50, 50 to 70, 70 plus? You know, the faster you as an audience vote on this, the sooner we can get going. And here's the deal. Like the right answer and where every mortgage professional wants to be is in the 20 or plus. I mean, that is where you really have a sustainable mortgage practice where you can make consistent income. And when you talk to most $100 million producers and some of the most successful loan officers in the country, it's 70 plus, you know, sometimes 100 plus. So first of all, thanks. More than 50% of you voted. Brian, any guesses on how the answers are going to come in? Any guesses?
I would love to be optimistic and skew to the higher number, but I suspect it's going to be one of the two lower numbers.
Yeah. Well, here's the results, everybody. So you guys you're in the right place because we're going to be talking about ideas and strategies to get more opportunities, more up to bats. And yeah, it's basically 90%. And really, we don't have people or they didn't vote on the call right now that are in the 70 plus. Now, most of the people I interview, which by the way, yesterday, guys, I rolled out, it's on LinkedIn. We'll put a link down below, the 12 most viewed interviews I did last year. And most of those interviews were either realtors that all generate more than 100 leads a month or loan officers, mortgage advisors that all generate those. So highly recommend if you have not watched any of our top interviews, check it out. So I'm gonna go to you first, Alice, and then Laura with you, and then come back to you, Brian. You know, but let's just start throwing out ideas. You know, like if I want to get more up to bats, what are some things, Alice, that you're doing above the funnel to educate and engage?
Yeah, and I think Brian hit the nail on the head when he talked about how much time we have to engage these first-time buyers. The average age of a first-time buyer in 2024, I think, was either like 36 or 37 years old.
38.
So we have
38.
38.
38. Wow. So we have over a decade and a half of time where these, future home buyers are adults and are looking they know they want to buy a house. 3 million households have an income of over $150,000 a year and are renting. So, and who at that point, if someone's got that much time potentially before they're going to buy a house, should they speak with first? It's going to be the originator. So we have to get out there, and I think that you guys, and thank you for everything you are doing for the industry. We are really starting to flip the script and change the conversation and let people know that we don't want to talk to them on the day they're ready to buy the house. We wanted to talk to them a year ago. We wanted to talk to them 5 years ago, because the goal is to have these future home buyers confident, prepared, and optimized once they're ready to make that move. And I think social media is a great tool to use. I run a team of business development specialists, and one of them just flat out went on social media yesterday and said, "Hey, thank you so much for all of the families that I helped to buy a home last year. Most of them were from my referral partners, but I have a goal this year. My goal is to help 40 families, or 35, I think she said, families that come to me directly. I want you to reach out to me. If you know somebody who's looking to buy a home, if you have somebody who's credit challenged, we want to talk to you." And just going out to the public and letting them know that we want to talk to them today. A couple of the things that we've used, of course, we have a FinLocker app. Our version is called Manifest with Us. And over the last year, we have very intentionally put almost 300 people into our ecosystem. And that's not just enrolling people, and doing things that they're not engaged with. That's having a personal one-on-one conversation with them, showing them the value of the app, and really planting seeds for our future business. And then I am a First Home IQ ambassador. Dave, that's your non-for-profit,
Go.
and huge fan of that education. I actually did my most recent presentation was on Sunday night during the Golden Globes, and I had 6 people on there that all wanted to buy a house, and was able to present the path to home ownership presentation to them, including, giving them the opportunity to enroll in our app. So it goes hand in hand. And I think you guys have education is where it's at. It's never been more confusing to buy a house.
Yeah. Wow. Well, first of all, everything you said was powerful. How do you use the combination of the FinLocker app and First Home IQ? I would love to hear just a kind of a real world playbook on how those are being used in the real world with you.
Yeah, so I mean, I think in general, the mortgage industry has done a poor job over the history of time of nurturing and insulating clients who are, for whatever reason, not yet ready to buy a house, whether they're credit challenged or they're just not ready or they're going to move, whatever it is. Oftentimes, especially if they're credit challenged, we're pairing them up with a credit expert, and we love our credit experts, but then they're kind of gone, and we're kind of passing them off. And so, using a tool like our Manifest With Us app, it's enhancing our personal connection and allowing us to go along that journey with them. And becoming a First Home IQ ambassador, one of the major challenges that I've faced, over time is like the first time homebuyer seminar is so critical, but the old tired version where you go in and you bring a sausage and cheese tray and an insurance agent that drones on for, 45 minutes and no one gets their questions answered. That's just not going to cut it anymore. The modern day future home buyer wants to know that they're embarking on their wealth building journey. They want to understand what their opportunities are to build wealth, to potentially turn that first starter home into a rental. And so, we've freshened up our content, and then having a way to capture their information and to have a connection with them rather than just a sign up sheet, and having them engage in a tool like FinLocker provides. I feel like you can't almost have one without the other.
Yeah, yeah. Do you like one of the milestones, the educational milestones at First Home IQ is everyone by 18 should know how credit works because it's going to impact their life, and by 21 they should know about home ownership. What are your thoughts about using the FinLocker app and doing first-time home buyer education for families? Because they could be house hacking, they could be the best down payment assistance program are families helping families. What are your thoughts about doing those? And by the way, have you done an educational event like that?
So we are planning an educational event like that. One of my business development specialists was a 17-year teacher in a Kansas City school district. My mom was a teacher. My sister's a teacher. So like we're a team of teachers. And so we plan to engage the school districts in this education. There is another Dave that has some education out there, I think, for schools, but really beyond that, there's nothing. And so this was such a void, I think, and it is so important. I spoke at my kids. I've actually done it a couple of years in a row at their career day. And one of the things I have going during my presentation about building wealth is a ticker over the course of 30 years and what a home is going to be worth if it starts out at 300,000 once the loan is paid off, and it's about $1 million. And so, having, I wish I knew that, when I was 18, I would have done things a little bit differently, but helping to build that generational wealth for communities is going to help our community, not only our community, but it'll help us grow our business exponentially.
Love it. Brian, anything you want to pull out of what Alice said or any questions you want to ask her before we bring Laura into the chat?
Yeah, I think it's a good time to remind folks that heard about the announcement that FinLocker and First Home IQ are partnering, and maybe inform those that haven't heard, but we are literally weeks, if not days away from a formal launch of the First Home IQ app, which will be First Home IQ's version of FinLocker, similar to what Alice and Laura's teams have branded to their companies. And, one of the things that I've been doing over the last few weeks is getting immersed in the content that's in the First Home IQ ambassador kind of playbook, if you will. And I went down a rabbit hole last night. I think I watched, 14 of the videos and was just blown away by not just the level of the value of the content, but how it's presented. It's very modern, right? And
Even the color scheme.
yeah,
It's
everything.
like,
It's just
well done.
it's just very easy to consume and easy. It makes it. This is not an easy topic to understand, but it makes the process less daunting. And so, what I like to talk about, Dave, is how the FinLocker technology combined with an Alice or a Laura and the kind of hand-to-hand, education that they deliver to their communities, both physically and digitally. I like to think that our technology brings it to life and allows Alice and Laura and their teams to scale how many consumers they can kind of have in this nurture status, if you will, or nurture state. So we don't believe that technology alone solves this problem, and we don't believe, frankly, that education alone. It's the intersection of bringing the modern education and modern technology with, and most importantly, frankly, with a modern mortgage advisor that leads with empathy and education.
Love everything you said. Let's do this, Brian. Like, if you could, let's get Laura's thoughts on things she's doing, and then when I come back to you, it would be great if you could maybe share the app, like do a demo, and
No pressure.
and people would kind of understand, like, okay, here's what it works and here's how it does. But Laura,
Yeah.
why don't you share what are you doing above the funnel from an education perspective and driving leads, anything that you think would be
Yeah.
helpful in this topic?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually really excited about this First Home IQ. I have not heard of it until now.
Oh, so you're just hearing about it. Oh,
I'm
good.
just hearing
go.
about it. I've sort of been in a, like a holiday bubble from like literally October to now, and just busy. I'm just coming out of it, but very excited about it, and plan to look into the ambassador. That sounds amazing. I come from a family of teachers as well, and education is extremely important to me, and correct information is extremely important to me. I'm very protective of my buyers, to the point where, if someone comes to me and says, I found this great program, and often we can do their loan. Of course, I wouldn't be in business if we couldn't, but there's that 1% of time when there's a program out there that we just don't have, and I will guide them to that, because, all you have is your reputation in this business, and you want to help people. The reason I'm doing this is I want to help people and I want to educate them. With that said, I loved when FinLocker and Brian came to us and said, we have this product, which we call Ready Set Home. I loved it because one of the reasons I started, in this business was because I had credit challenges, and I didn't know how to get a mortgage. I was 20 something, didn't grow up with financial literacy, and sought out that information back then, before all of the TikToks and all of the very readily, easily obtainable information that we have these days. And one of my mottos with our business is there are no like throwaway people. Every single person can and does deserve to buy a home and get into a property to have a home. So, coming up on this product, we started using Ready Set Home for people that were credit challenged, for them to track the progress of their credit. And it's really exciting because giving people hope in home ownership. And that's what I find exciting and rewarding, is the people that come to me and say, you're not going to be able to help me. I can't, and I take that on as a personal challenge. Let me see what I can do, to help you buy a home. And oftentimes we can help them. And what's great is for those that we can't help yet is to come up with a plan. And part of that plan is Ready, Set, Home, where you can track, your credit, where you can track your readiness, your down payment. I have several clients that are putting away little bit each month, and this is their goal. And when they get to this goal, they're going to be ready to look. And that date, is on my calendar, where it's like April. These clients, April 1st, contact, I won't share their names, but contact these clients because they'll have X amount saved. And this is using those tools. So education along with technology is extremely important, but also the correct education, the correct information. So, everyone on this call, like having that desire to share and to help buyers, especially first-time home buyers, and not just the 37, 38-year-olds that are now like the average age that are coming out in the market. I think because I've been around so long that a lot of my clients' kids are doing their loans with me. And I have educated them over the years where when your son is ready, like you could co-sign for him if you want to, or he can buy a house when he's young, and we can do that. He can have roommates that live with him, kind of the house hacks that people talk about. I just closed a loan with a gentleman, 18-year-old, my youngest client, 18, his mom
Yes.
co-signed.
Love it.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And we were at the closing, everybody was just like, his mom was crying. It was like the most beautiful thing. He got into Kennesaw State. He's going to have his 3 roommates pay the mortgage. He's basically going
House
to live
hack.
for free. House hack, it's great. And so that's the kind of education I try to do with all the buyers, my database. I think it's a beautiful thing to do. I didn't buy my first home till I was 25 or 26. And I think that's young now in this market, but the younger, in my opinion, the better. I mean, I think that's the key in real estate.
Yeah, and we need to tell those stories. I mean, what a beautiful story, Laura. I can't wait to have you involved in First Home IQ, because that's our mission. Let's get more people buying their homes in their 20s. The younger they get started, the better off they are. And the average in America right now is 38. And if there was more education and empowerment above the funnel, the narrative would shift everybody. And you
Exactly.
know what? You
Yeah.
watching this, you'd create more impact and you'd make more income. Like, this is impact and income.
Exactly. I do want to add something. People say, and loan officers will ask, like, when is a good time? Or buyers will ask, and loan officers will say, what do I tell my clients? When is a good time to get pre-approved? What if I'm not buying for a year or 2 years? Now. It's always a good time now, because being pre-approved doesn't mean you have to go run out and buy a house right now. It just means that you're planning, and there's nothing wrong with planning for your future. That's the whole point. You're supposed to plan. You're supposed to have a plan. And if the plan means 6 months, a year, 6 years, it doesn't matter. At least you'll know what you need to do, and you'll have education to make better choices.
100%.
I
I
love
think,
that.
and you talked about this, I think, Brian, and maybe you too, Dave, on LinkedIn, but just talking about switching the conversation from apply now, because that's kind of how you think of your mortgage professional, to get ready,
Yeah.
and just engaging people in that conversation. Like, we're here to coach you. We're here to educate you. We're here to help you prepare, not just pull your credit,
Exactly. That's the point, that this, I think, app also helps. As well as, the younger generation with the technology. I mean, I grew up with computers at the beginning of, the massive like Apple computers and DOS-based games and everything. So I've been around technology a long time. My mom, being a teacher, she taught computers for a while on the side. But technology is extremely important with not just the younger generation, everybody these days. Everybody wants to be on their phone and do things easily. I will tell you something funny that I saw when you talk about Rocket, and I think this was last week. I saw this. It was get pre-approved in 3 minutes.
Hmm. Yep.
3 minutes.
That's
What
a video
kind of-
waiting to be shot right there to talk about
What
that.
kind
'cause
of
that's crazy.
BS is that? Like, that's not logical. And for the people who are getting that misinformation from these larger companies, we'll get you pre-approved in 3 minutes. That's just not possible. And it's misleading. And it's so frustrating being in this business, seeing that crap, excuse my language, on TV.
All right, here's what we're going to do, guys. So first half of the call, we've really gone strategic. We've gone high level. I'm going to get you specific tactics to both build your database and to go from data to leads. So first, one question I want to ask the audience real quick is how big is your database right now? Do you have less than 300 contacts in your database? Do you have 500 to 1,000? Do you have 1,000 to 5,000? And then I'd love to know just how many people do we have that have, just super databases. You've got over 5,000 records, and a little less than 50% have voted. Let's get it up. Brian, any guesses? This is a little more evenly distributed.
Yeah.
Any guesses here?
I'm going to say 500 to 1,000 will be the top choice.
Yeah. All right. Well, we had a good percentage. First of all, thank you people for voting and giving us this feedback. And
Wow.
Brian, you got it right, man. You know your space. And but a message to everyone, guys. There's people that have over 5,000 records, and it doesn't mean you need to be $100 million producer and have been in the business for a decade to do that. I mean, I know loan officers that have built their databases incredibly rapidly. I know, I don't know that I would hire a new loan officer if they didn't start with 300 contacts and a database, and it really should be a race to 1,000. Like, how fast can I get 1,000 records under management? Get them into the FinLocker app, get them into a Trust Engine monitored database, and then just drive value. Just drive value. So Brian, why don't you, within the context of that, share your app, how you help people get more records under management, and then how you help people take those records and create opportunities.
I will do that for
And
sure.
then I'm going to show that idea, and then Alice and Laura are going to give feedback, and then they're going to share, hey, how am I getting more leads, and how am I getting more up to bats?
So I went to my default CRM, which is LinkedIn for me. But again, if you're not following me on LinkedIn, do that. I try to push a lot of content that leans into this topic in a bunch of different ways in terms of, the value of up funnel engagement. And so follow me there, and then let's jump over to
and guys, he is truly valuable on LinkedIn. And if you're, while there's a lot of executives on LinkedIn giving value, I think more loan officers should be on LinkedIn creating value. I'm going to be doing content around how can loan officers use that platform. So anyways, make sure you follow Brian and tune into him. It's pure gold.
Yeah, and Dave, I mean, if you think about LinkedIn as a social media platform, most people, probably all people, think of LinkedIn first and foremost as a place to go find a job or hire somebody, because that's really what it started as. And it's morphed over time into this place where that's still probably the number one objective for most folks there, but it's become a place where there's a lot of learning happening. And a lot of times when I talk to loan officers about, their LinkedIn strategy, they're like, well, there's no home buyers there. I'm like, well, wait, what? Huh? Every one of us that has a LinkedIn profile is a consumer of something, and therefore most likely, in your target home buyer category. And so I wouldn't sleep on LinkedIn. And I think it's still an early platform. And I think there's ways to get in there and grow and have it be a viable business development strategy for loan officers.
Well, and real quick, just guys, first of all, it would be considered, in a market you serve, the more affluent, potentially jumbo market people are in there. More homeowners are in there. Lots of financial planners and CPAs and great referral partners. And I guarantee you, in every single market, there are some realtors that are playing the LinkedIn game. So, not playing the LinkedIn game, it is both a professional community for learning and obviously a professional community for recruiting. You know, getting recruited or being recruiting. Anyways, let's check it out.
So, Dave, just kind of playing off of some comments that both Alice and Laura mentioned in terms of, you know, the typical call to action that we see on most lender and loan officers' websites and landing pages is apply now, right? Or some reference to get into my POS and let's get into the process. And we talked about at the onset of this call the fact that the average age of a first-time home buyer is 38. And so if that's the case, and we've got these millions of consumers who are otherwise typically of age to buy, but just have been kind of held out for various reasons, they're not ready to apply now. There needs to be another call to action to bring somebody into your ecosystem and start to build a relationship. And when I say build a relationship, I'm really going to say build a relationship that's anchored on education and then extends through engagement. And that's what our product really helps loan officers do, is have that other call to action. You know, you still can have your apply now because that's the holy grail. But for the 9 out of 10 that are hitting your website that aren't ready to apply, give them a learn more or some other option to engage with you and get value from you as a professional. And so this landing page that I'm showing is I'm showing you our Key Steps branded version of FinLocker. So this is our non-lender / non-enterprise version of the FinLocker product that's available for all loan officers. We branded it Key Steps because there are key steps in the home buying and preparing process, and this app provides that for consumers. And so this could be an example of a call to action on your website that brings people into this experience. And when they hit this landing page, we identify a consumer really on where they are in their process. I'm looking for a home. I've hit a roadblock. Maybe I've been turned down somewhere else. I'm planning for a future purchase, or I've recently bought a home and I just want to be a savvy homeowner. I think Paul in the comments asked a question about the FinLocker app for post-close engagement. And there's some value for sure in engaging your clients after the fact. I'll show that a little bit in the demo, but essentially this landing page drives the user to either sign up or sign back into their FinLocker experience. The Key Steps app, as well as the First Home IQ app that's going to be going live here soon, as well as Manifest with Us and Ready Set Home, are also a native mobile app. So when we deploy our product, it's a web app, which is what I'm showing you today on the screen, but it's also a native mobile app. And so as a loan officer now, you take residency on your prospect and your client's phone in the form of this native mobile app. And where that gets really interesting is in some of the engagement that happens off of the app, which I'll show you. And Dave, I'm not going to do an exhaustive demo for anybody that's here that wants to learn in detail. Just hit me up on LinkedIn and we'll set up a demo and go deep for you. But essentially what we have is this consumer experience, and the consumer experience is important to note that we always have the loan officer front and center, right? So this cool loan officer that hasn't written a loan in 35 years, is the person that invited this consumer in. And I think both Alice and Laura in your organizations, you guys have partnered with realtors where you've co-branded with your realtor partner. We enable co-branding. So this is what that looks like with the loan officer and the agent. And each of those pairings has a unique invitation link. And so when Chris, the realtor, is inviting his sphere of influence and database into this experience, his database is going to be introduced to Brian, the loan officer, and that pairing is created there. And so the technology always keeps the loan officer, and by extension, any of the loan officer's referral partners, directly connected with the consumer. So this is a series of widgets on this dashboard, but it really starts with a simple question we ask every consumer when they create their account. Where are you on your homeownership journey? And there's 5 answers to that question. or personas that we create based on how the user answers the question. You can only be in one persona. And so just getting started is our early journey, first time home buyer. So 6, 12, 18 plus months up funnel. Getting ready is somebody that's probably, in that 90-day-ish range. And so maybe, I would tell you it's a great idea for every pre-approval you do to invite them into this experience, because now the experience is going to create more stickiness for that pre-approval for you. Overcoming challenges is kind of what it sounds like. It's what we call a turn down use case. Ready now. We actually see in a social media use case where loan officers that have, pretty good followings on social are using this tool as a lead magnet for their social posts. And we see about 15% of the users that download the app off of social, they indicate they're actually ready now. And so when a consumer creates their account and they say they're ready now, we're going to alert the loan officer right away of that. And then finally, we have this not looking persona. That's kind of your existing client, your existing homeowner who, again, is looking to be more of a savvy homeowner, understand, how they can optimize the equity in their home. I'll show you briefly what that looks like. Each of these personas has its own unique journey and experience. So just getting started is really going to lean into this readiness experience, right? And so this first section of the dashboard is really focused on mortgage readiness. And so I'll just show you a glimpse real quick of what that looks like. And so in this case, our user has 3 out of 4 stars of readiness. And when we measure readiness and assess a consumer's readiness, we're really looking at 4 dimensions. Cash, how much money do they have for down payment, closing costs, their employment and income, their credit score, and their DTI. We're going to calculate both monthly housing and monthly total DTI. And we have some proxies for readiness. I want to be clear, this is not a pre-qual, this is not a pre-approval. This is an extension of the great work that loan officers that lead with education do. So this is a education and confidence building experience that leads to a successful application. And I say all that for the compliance folks that may be tuning in. We really differentiate between a pre-qual, pre-approval, and this education, engagement, and confidence building experience. But we use stars to gamify this for our user, for the consumer. And so behind these readiness widgets, we're really leveraging 3 sources of primary data. 2 of those are consumer permission direct source, credit, and assets. And then the third is what we call consumer contributed. It's all the information we learn about your user as they create their profile, as they engage with the app. We keep collecting and adding on to that information, and it all becomes part of the data that we use to assess somebody's readiness. So from a credit perspective, the user is going to get access to their credit score. It updates every 7 days. That 7-day cadence, think of that as another touch point for you as the originator. Every time the consumer's credit updates in the app, it creates an opportunity for the app to reach out and engage the consumer and pull them back in on your behalf. We don't send necessarily a weekly credit update to every user, but once a month, they're going to get an update when their credit score changes. And in the interim, if it moves plus or minus 5 points, we feel that's enough of a move to alert somebody to come back in. That's going to create an opportunity for the consumer to come back in the app. Beyond the credit score, the user has access to this what if scenario, right? So now I know a lot of loan officers use a what if scenario with their borrowers. This is kind of a DIY version of that for the consumer to come in and run scenarios like paying down balances, changing payment histories, and things of that sort. And they'll see how it potentially impacts their credit score. And I say potentially because this is a model. The consumer still has to take the action that they modeled in order for it to impact their score. Beyond credit, we prompt a user to connect to their financial accounts, both assets and liabilities. And once they start connecting those financial accounts, this personal financial widget, if you will, comes to life, where we're showing the user kind of their single pane of glass view of their financial life and this net worth vision. But we also, as you know, show them their DTI and their cumulative savings, because those are two components of readiness that people need to be paying attention to, especially early in their process. And then we have another widget that's centered around homeowners, around the home itself. So for those users, those consumers that already own a home, they can connect their property in the app. We bring in a bank-rated valuation model that's powered by Home Genius. And then you'll note here, not only is the value presented, the property value, but we've got this estimated home equity. And what's unique about our experience is when a user links their property, we prompt them to actually connect directly to their mortgage if they have one, or mortgages if they have multiple loans on a property. And so this view of equity is not a reverse amortization where we're estimating the balance of a mortgage. It's not a stale mortgage balance from a credit report. It's literally coming from a connected account, a mortgage account in this app. And so if a payment posted yesterday, it would be reflected today. And the user can have multiple properties. So when we start talking about those house hacks, you know, you could have a rental property, a second home, primary, et cetera. And what's cool is we also have embedded real estate search. So when you think about the readiness journey, too often people start with, you know, search and Zillow, which is fine. We're not going to change that necessarily. But the right way to search for your home is to understand where that home falls in your budget and what that payment looks like. So in this instance, anybody that favorited a property in our embedded search, we then overlay where it falls in their budget and their estimated payment for that. So we have an integration. We bring in an index rate from Optimal Blue. We have a couple other data points that we bring in where we bring in property tax information, insurance information. And again, this is all an estimated payment in a budget for where that property would fall. So there's a lot here, Dave. Like I said, I don't want to go any further in this because we could do this for an hour, but anybody that wants to see this a layer deeper, please reach out direct. This is the exact experience that Alice and Laura's teams have, and it's the exact experience that the First Home IQ team will have access to here shortly.
So guys, let me just think about the value that would help you get people from social media or a dialogue to like, oh, that's value. Like, let's get into that. Think about that 18, and I'm sure, Laura, you probably used it to help support that family and that 18-year-old get into homeownership. Was this experience part of that story?
Yes. Yeah. I think that, you know, I have clients that use this for different reasons. I have a client that had a credit challenge during COVID, was fine, 700, 800 scores, and then boom, just wasn't a good 2 years. And he texts me almost every week. I could see my score went up, you know, using this. It's exciting. It's again, it gives hope to people. It gives structure. It's also something that as a loan officer, you can only do so much. We're human. We all work and we have kids and families, and we can only literally do so much. So this does stuff for you while you're not working or spending time with your kids or sleeping, and people use it and they love it. So it's, as you were showing that, I was thinking just of the comments that I've had from the clients that are in this that really appreciate, especially the simulator. I get that comment a lot. So, yeah.
So, Alice, you had a couple of really cool recent wins, and this, to me, this lines up, Dave, with your everything that you and Trust Engine talk about, which is, you know, data-driven strategies and engagement, and so maybe Alice, share some of those those
Yeah,
wins were
we're like getting to that fun stage where we're starting to see the results, and so we've had several already from our ecosystem that started by making an application with us. They didn't qualify at the time. I think the two most recent were in the app for 7. One was 7, one was 8 months, but now they own homes. And we actually had the opportunity to interview one of those two homeowners. She's a marketing coordinator for one of our great realtor partners, and she's a raving fan of the app. She talked about, being able to go in and run and say, can I afford a house at this price? Can I afford, because, we've got our clients contacting us like, what's the mortgage payment going to be here? Can I buy this much of a house? And, to speak to a few of my favorite features of the app and the feedback that I've received from people who use it. I mean, one of my favorite features, and Laura was talking about this, like we have to sleep sometimes, and it's like Christmas morning when we wake up and we have these emails from the FinLocker team saying that certain clients got, an improved credit score, and it gives us that trigger and that task, that call to action to reach out to them. And then, the fact that it's a closed environment for all of the information that the FinLocker app houses and the power that it has, it's clean. It's not complicated. There's nobody in there trying to market to your clients. The real estate search is a closed environment. So our realtor partners love it. I think of this trying to get to the top of the funnel, and it's not that we're trying to go around our realtor partners. It's that we're trying to help enhance their offerings. We've got almost 100 realtors co-branded in our app, but also, you think about, when we talked about database, I would challenge anybody who said they have a database of under 300 people. How many contacts do you have in your cell phone? How many people are you friends with on Facebook? Realtors do it. Their databases are full of just people that they know. And the idea that we have to sit there and wait to receive leads from people that we already know is outdated. We need to be like embracing the idea that our friends, our family, our business B2B contacts, they should all be in our database. And I bet everybody who's listening knows more than 300 people.
Yeah, no doubt. So guys, let's go through some things. So one, this app, having it as something of value to get people in. Another strategy that's come up during the conversation is First Home IQ. I just put a link to our quiz. So, Alice, as an ambassador, you could drive people to the quiz. It's free. They go to the link. By the way, if you're an ambassador like Alice, it has your picture. And they ask questions like, what are the 3 most important criteria to qualify for a home? I'm going to guess credit score, income, and down payment. I don't know if I'm right. Which credit range typically considered low to qualify for conventional? I mean, I'm not going to go through and answer this, but it's 20 questions, and it's testing that consumer for homeownership readiness.
And here's
By the
what I
way,
would say,
Alice,
we've had some practice. Like we've been, I would say, even though 300 people is a lot and 100 realtor partners is a lot, we feel like we've only just gotten started. The ability to use the amazing and very, very deep resources available on First Home IQ, which you've got to go to check it out. There's a lot of even free resources that you can use. Becoming an ambassador and joining that program, which is a non-for-profit. It's a great cause. Kristen Meserly, who I've interviewed, she's incredible. But that is going to give us the opportunity to really start to scale the amount of people that we're touching. Something that we're starting at Leader One is, I want to build a community of loan officers within our company, within our division, that are working together to, create these big online opportunities to provide that education. It doesn't have to be just, 5 people in person at a real estate office. It can be to 500 people online, or a company, or a school. There's a lot of ways to scale this, and that's where we're going to start to see a lot more engagement using the FinLocker app too. I know, Brian, you said Min, I think is his name. He's great on with his video. He did one video, and how many people did he have enroll in the app following that video post? Was it like 5,000 or something?
Yeah, they're in aggregate, they're well north of 5,000, but one of their first posts, or his first posts, in the first 30 days, it had like 1,500 downloads.
And
so
that's just
you talk about lead gen and lead magnet. That's pretty powerful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
And there's a
here's,
lot of resources on First Home IQ and FinLocker. If you don't know how to create the video that you want to create, like you can go and they'll help you. They've got examples, they've got scripts you can copy. You don't have to do it by yourself.
so here's the deal, guys. We got 10 minutes left. I'm going to wrap a few more strategies, then give everybody a chance for closing thoughts. But in 2025, your database is king, and your ability to help your realtor with their database, get more loans out of their database, and help financial advisors, everybody surrounding the family. So love the FinLocker app. Obviously, First Home IQ, I'm very passionate about that. I think it's also important, more important than ever, that you're identifying people who are move up opportunities in your database, people that are move down opportunities in your database. Like if you are not having your database monitored for eligibility and propensity, this is actually the Trust Engine app. But this is something that the most modern lenders and the most modern loan officers are, they now have the ability to like, who is most likely to transact in my database? Now in our app, when you click on one of these links, there's a button to call, button to text, button to email. Um, get your scripts in order. You know, I know Brian has scripts for how to drive the FinLocker conversation. Make sure you have great scripts on what do you say to these things. And then guys, make sure you're taking action. Speed to need. How fast can you go from someone gets into your FinLocker app, someone gets into your database, and your ability to be at the right place at the right time. Like that is going to be the master skill of 2025. And hopefully, if you are getting value from this, ask us questions in chat. If you're watching this on YouTube and you have questions, get those in here. Um, Brian, I know we got about 8 minutes left. Is there anything that you just want to make sure gets covered, gets said, or it could be a question for Laura or Alice?
Yeah, I would start by saying something that's very obvious, right? And Laura hit on this in one of her comments. The younger people that are younger in their financial life, they're literally the first native, digital generation, right? So they, in some cases,
Yeah.
before they could walk, they were already playing with their parents' phone and watching, whatever the video of the time was. So this is, this generation has the technology is table stakes, right? It's not an option. So having a modern technology experience is table stakes. And if we don't acknowledge that there are a lot of places and there's a lot of noise in front of these consumers in terms of tools that are available, right? There, Credit Karma, Credit Sesame, there's NerdWallet, there's Rocket Money, there used to be Mint.com. There's just all these places. And yesterday on a call, I was talking with a lender, and we were talking about real estate search specifically in the feature in our app. And Alice kind of talked about it being this closed ecosystem. And I asked, how do they think about real estate search for their consumers? And they're like, oh, we know they're going to be on Zillow, so we would just point them to Zillow. And so I was doing a demo, and I literally opened a new browser, went to Zillow.com. And if you haven't done that, do it. In the top bar, find an agent, get a home loan. Click get a home loan. Guess who shows up? It's not you. Zillow Home Loans. And so, the point is, if you have the opportunity to capture somebody in your ecosystem and give them a set of tools that combined with your passion for educating and engaging, then the chances of you keeping them engaged in your ecosystem gives you the opportunity to win when it comes time to transact. And I just think we have to really be cognizant of what is out there for all these consumers. And we have the ability today with the First Home IQ content, with Trust Engine, and with platforms like FinLocker, and with great educators like Alice and Laura, to beat the biggest of the brands at a hyper local level. And I'm all in on that.
So guys, this is my mobile app right now. And this is what Zillow looks like right now. And they only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tabs. Search is obvious, updates is obvious, save is obvious. Home loans, like the number one app in America is got home loans as a real priority. So, I mean, if you are a mortgage professional and you want to have a sustainable career in the industry, one, you need to have a database. You need to make it a priority. You need to be speed to need, be as valuable to those consumers as possible. Call them at the right time based off their needs. Deliver a mortgage coach experience. You need to be a leader, like an educational leader in your community. Platforms like First Home IQ, and then you need to get people into your app experience. It's a beautiful platform. Alice, I'm going to get Laura to come to you next, but any closing thoughts that you have, Alice, after hearing all this?
Well, I would say start today. I mean, Dave, you didn't get 25,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel overnight, and Brian, you didn't get over 30,000 followers on LinkedIn overnight. Uh, you know, as common sense and as no not as common sense as it is that you would enroll in both of these programs, and Dave, we're involved in all of your programs at Leader One and then the FinLocker app. There's a lot of people aren't going to do it. So you're still going to be standing out. You're still going to be differentiating yourself in the market. So I would say just get involved. We're overwhelmed to a certain degree with technology as loan officers and as lenders, but these are two pieces of technology that we would definitely not want to live without.
Thank you so much. And Laura, closing thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with Alice. You have to have long-term thinking in business, and as in this business especially. One of the big things that I want to leave everybody with is it's really important to add value. People ask, how do you get leads? My mindset is, what can I give? What education can I give? What value can I give to my buyers, my clients, my referral partners, my agents, everybody? That's my mindset. And in turn, I get leads that come in. And so it's a beautiful relationship. And when you're building your business, think more about what can you give? What can you offer? What value can you provide? And then important as well, not just to diversify what you're offering, having these amazing apps that add value, but also diversify your lead sources. There are more people out there than just agents. Besides their CPAs, their financial advisors, there are just people randomly in this, in like the supermarket that you like over here talking about, needing a mortgage or a house. Just very important. I learned early on, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Definitely diversify what you offer and diversify your lead sources, and you will survive in this business and thrive.
No. Love that. And Brian,
Yeah.
closing thoughts for you, buddy?
It's the business is out there for us to win. We as the local loan originator, I truly believe is the best resource for financial preparation and financial education, especially for first-time home buyers. You all need to believe that, because you are the best resource, and you have this package of tools that is going to allow you to show up just like the biggest brands with billions of dollars in their budget can do. So I'm excited about where we are in our industry. I know we've called out significant number of loan officers, but those that are in the business are committed ultimately to serving consumers, and that's how we win.
All right. So here's my closing thoughts, guys. I just put a link to this in chat. I'm going to put a quote from it, and I'm going to, wrap up with, this article that was published on LinkedIn yesterday. First of all, if you could go to this link, give it a like, consider sharing it. But it's a breakdown of, our 12 most viewed interviews last year. And the big trends last year were NAR settlement. So 5 of the top 12 interviews had to do with how to win in NAR. At the end of the day, that's how to help realtors win. 4 of them were on sales scripts, and 3 of them were on loan now strategies. And I would tell you what we covered in today's call would help you with all these 3 things. Now, if you scroll down, pick a video that you haven't watched, be sure to watch one of them. But here's the closing thought, guys. I am fighting harder than ever for change. Like, guys, we need to change. And the superpower of 25 will be the ability to change, to unlearn old ways and to learn new ways to deliver value and convenience to consumers. And that's what we just talked about, how to deliver value and convenience to consumers to get them into homeownership younger and faster. So Alice, I'm looking forward to interviewing you again someday. Laura, you too. Laura, I'm especially excited to get you involved in the First Home IQ community. So if anybody else wants to be involved in that, if you're watching the YouTube, there'll be a link down below for everything we talked about. But for those of you that are in Zoom, I already put a link to find out about what it means to be an ambassador. So this is a wrap. Have a great day, everybody, and welcome to 2025. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks all.